Welcome to Thought Crime and Keto Crime, where Tracy does the sleuthing so you don't have to.
Good morning, everyone. Tracy Barkley here. Welcome to Thought Crime and Keto and Crime. Today, we're going to do a very special case. It was one that a couple actually that rose kind of recently as a result of the COVID-19 scare. I actually postponed the stories I was going to put out today and Friday to work on this one, and those will be returning on Friday and Sunday as normal. But I wanted to kind of talk about pandemic profiteering, if I could. We've got two cases here. One is by a guy we've already talked about in a previous video, which I will link above. And another is a fairly new person, I guess, into this. And he's being prosecuted, though, and it happened right here in my home state of Tennessee. So let's get into it. It's very early in the morning here, so I apologize. I also realized once I turned on my camera that it looked like Moses parted my hair because the part is so defined, so please try to kind of ignore that as we move forward here. First, let's talk about our old buddy, the Reverend Jim Bakker. Yes, he's back. Remember him? I'll post that video above. Talking about Jim Bakker and his PTL club. In the 70s and 80s, he built a televangelist empire. He created the Praise the Lord network, which eventually became Trinity Broadcasting Network, and the Praise the Lord TV show, which, if I'm not mistaken, is still on the air today. He actually created Heritage USA, along with his wife Tammy, Heritage USA, which was a biblical-based amusement park in which he sold packages for very special large donors from his flock. And with those packages came unlimited night stay in a hotel while they were in the park, just all kinds of VIP treatment. But what he was doing is selling packages and timeshares in an apartment building that didn't have near enough apartments to accommodate the people that he sold packages to if they chose to come and stay the same times of the year. So inept fraud. He also got himself into a spot of trouble when his former secretary, Jessica Hahn, came forward and accused him of sexual assault. And as a result of that, tax evasion, and the Heritage USA scandal, his empire slowly crumbled. His former ally and protege, the Reverend Jerry Falwell, turned on him, usurped control of PTL. He was ousted. He also went to jail for the fraud with Heritage USA and tax evasion and served several years. He came out. He went immediately to Branson, Missouri, started the Jim Bakker Show with his new wife, and has been running that ever since. He's kind of been the scrutiny of a lot of cringe video compilations because he likes to sell fear on his new show. He talks about the end of the world fairly often. Still kind of a cult mentality. He especially sells prepping food, these buckets of food that will last years on a shelf in preparation for Armageddon or a complete collapse of society as we know it. So he's gotten famous for that. So I guess you can say Jim Bakker's always profited off of fear.
Yes, if you have means.
They need to write a check for they can get it. We'll get it as cheap as we can get it for your church. Do $1 million worth of food. I'm serious. We've had churches call and order $1 million food made up. If you can have it.
If you have the financial means.
But if they're rich, listen, the money's going anyway, John.
Exactly.
It's not going to be worth anything. The crash is coming.
The word says
but why not sow it into the Lord? And do it you're not doing it for us. Do it for your church.
The word says.
And can you imagine a church having
However, he's gotten himself into a spot of trouble with the Missouri State's attorney, who is now investigating him because in late February, he actually attempted to sell his followers a bottle of what he called silver solution, never really disclosing what was in it, but he had some natural homeopaths, and I use homeopath very laughably, on his show, claiming that this silver solution was indeed the cure for coronavirus.
Is amazing.
Is there a miracle treatment for coronavirus?
Order silver now.
This televangelist seems to suggest so.
Hello, and welcome to the Jim Baker Show.
Jim Baker, the notorious pastor who served 5 years in prison for fraud in the early 1990s and was once married to the late Tammy Faye Baker, is now back on the airwaves, making, well, surprising claims that this silver solution could be effective against the coronavirus.
We've tested it. It works on just about everything.
This influenza that is now circling the globe, you're saying that silver solution would be effective.
Well, let's say it hasn't.
He said that he can't guarantee it will actually kill COVID-19, but it has killed other coronaviruses in the same family within seconds. So he was literally selling $78 bottles of silver solution to cure the COVID-19. And he was immediately banned from selling it, came under some scrutiny, and got, as I said, the Missouri State's General on his ass. So we're going to see what happens with that. But Jim Baker, our old buddy, cease and desist, buddy. Cease and desist. Now, that wasn't cringeworthy enough. We also are going to look at the actions of two brothers from Chattanooga, Tennessee. Matt and Noah Colvin grew up in Hickson, Tennessee, which is a small town just outside Chattanooga. They have normal lives, married, kids, the whole 9 yards. Matt actually served in the United States Air Force and basically lived what you would call a normal life. Soon after getting out of the Air Force, Matt discovered the wonderful world of e-commerce, and a few years ago started both an Amazon and an eBay store, which has led him to becoming a full-time eBay and Amazon seller, already making, now get this, already making well over 6 figures per month in revenue. Now, the way that most Amazon selling goes, you cannot really say that what you take in is pure profit, but the kind of things he sells, shoes, cleaning products, things of that nature, can have an average markup. So we're going to say he's profiting if he makes $100,000 in a month revenue between shipping fees, Amazon and eBay fees, buying the products, and any other trouble time and whatnot that he has to pay out. We're going to be very generous and say that he's still probably profiting somewhere between $25,000 and $50,000 a month, not a year, a month, being an Amazon seller. Now, I don't know about you, but $25,000 to $30,000 a month is a whole lot of money. I don't think I'm going to be wanting for much, and they aren't. He must be heavily in debt. That's all I can figure. I really couldn't find any figures about it. But he decided he was going to use the COVID-19 scare as a way to quadruple his profits. March 1st, when the United States announced its first death from COVID-19, he kind of saw the writing on the wall and said, oh, this is going to be a craze, if nothing else here, just a hysteria. So let me go out and start basically making a run on the shelves of things that people will want. And no, it wasn't toilet paper. I was very surprised he did not do it with toilet paper, but he stuck to the stuff that people would use to protect themselves from COVID-19. This is before lots of cities and states went on lockdowns and quarantine calls. He basically he and Noah basically took their vehicles and went around Chattanooga, the Chattanooga metro area, and their small town of Hickson, just in that area. They went to all the Walmarts, all the Staples, all the Home Depots, all the drugstores, any major retailer that would sell things like antiseptic wipes, cleaning solutions that were known to kill the corona family virus, of which COVID-19's virus is a part of. Bought up all the hand sanitizer in various sizes and brands. Bought all of the other things, the hand sanitizing wipes, all those things. Bought them all in the Chattanooga and Hickson area. Then he decided, let me take it one step further. They went to a local Chattanooga U-Haul rental dealership, and they rented a U-Haul trailer, one of the smaller box trucks. And from there, they undertook a 1,300-mile journey, which took them about 3 days to complete. And they crisscrossed the state of Tennessee, stopping at all Family Dollars, gas stations, any sort of store that would sell these same supplies in small towns and rural farming communities all across Tennessee, and bought every single thing they could find. All the hand sanitizer, all the Lysol wipes, all the Lysol disinfectant cleaning off-brands, they bought it all. And then they crisscrossed Kentucky as well, the neighboring state of Kentucky, doing the same thing. And they literally filled that small box truck with all these supplies. In addition, Noah went online and ordered pallets of the same sort of stuff from distributors that he had already worked with. Like I said, they were already Amazon sellers selling a variety of things, so he had distributors. So he went to Amazon itself, eBay, as well as other distributors, and bought pallets and pallets of the same sort of stuff, sanitizing hand wipes, cleaning solutions, and they just converged and bought it all. They then stored them in Noah's garage, as well as a couple of commercial storage units that they already used for the reselling business. And they unloaded all of it into there. The brothers then went online and listed the first 300 bottles of hand sanitizer in various sizes. You had the small little 4 and 8 ounce bottles, then all the way up to the large 1 liter or 1 quart bottles. And they listed those for a range of prices from $7 up to $70, and sold out immediately. And then they went over to eBay and listed the same sort of stuff. Their idea being they would list all this stuff they just bought at a huge markup and make a huge profit off of people's concern and panic over COVID-19. Now, unless you're living under a rock, you have to know that we're kind of in a quarantine situation in this country with some emergency measures being taken by President Trump and his administration. We are facing a possible pandemic, an actual pandemic, let's just call it what it is, of a corona family virus, novel coronavirus. Novel means it's never been seen before. A coronavirus which causes a respiratory flu family-like illness known as COVID-19. It is very much like the flu and the cold in that it affects both the upper and lower respiratory systems of people that contract it. Early symptoms are very much cold and flu-like, stuffy nose, sore throat, fever, and then later on shortness of breath, and it can develop into both viral and bacterial pneumonia, which causes fluid in the lungs. It causes a variety of bad symptoms, especially in the most compromised among us, which is the elderly and people with compromised immune systems or underlying medical issues. Most of the deaths in this country, in fact, I'm going to go on to say all of them, of the deaths in this country, which we were at around 70 the last time I checked, could be more now, but 70, were all elderly or people that otherwise had underlying health issues, lung problems, heart problems, diabetes, things that already make their systems more susceptible. Now, you got to remember, it's not the COVID-19 that kills you, but it's what it can allow into your system, the opportunistic infections like the pneumonias that does the damage. So people are panicked, justifiably so. I think we might be taking it a bit too far, but I don't want to act like I don't think that it's serious. I think it is a serious situation, but I also think that the media is kind of hyping it up just a little bit, probably for political reasons. I don't want to get into that. I'm an asthmatic. I have a lot of asthma problems, so I could be one that if I got this thing, I'm going to suffer a little bit. Hopefully not die, but I'm going to suffer a little while. But what I'm worried about is my mother-in-law, who's almost 60, and has fibromyalgia and a lot of other things going on. I worry about my own parents who are in their 70s. My dad has end-stage COPD already, so he would definitely probably not make it if he got it. So I worry about them. And as a result of people worrying about their loved ones, worrying about their friends, people have been panic buying lots of things. Toilet paper, hand sanitizer, cleaning supplies, as well as canned food, frozen food, fresh food, all the food that you need. I'm lucky enough that everybody in my family pretty much works from home anyway, so wasn't much of a change of life for me, but a lot of people are undergoing a huge change in life. You've got major sporting events like the NHL, the NBA, all canceling. The NCAA Final Four canceled. You have Major League Baseball canceling spring training games, pushing out their opening week another week. Major festivals like American Atheist Convention was canceled this year, South by Southwest. Lots of things. Lots of TV shows and movies have gone black filming. So I actually had an audition for a music video, and then the shoot was actually canceled, so they never chose anybody. So you've got a lot of people going through an experience where they've never seen before. And as a result, they're trying to stockpile these things. So in the cities especially, you're seeing a lot of shortages of the very things the Colvin brothers bought. And they were using it as an opportunity to make mad profit. However, even though they and a lot of other people were doing it for several days, made decent money. And let's think about it. 300 bottles of something sold between $8 and $70 a piece. Let's give that an average of about $40, shall we? You're already looking at a revenue of about $28,000 right there. After you subtract your gas from going around to pick it up, shipping, you're still making mad money there. So, as a result of them and other sellers on Facebook Marketplace, Amazon, eBay, those entities have taken it upon themselves to remove all listings for those sort of supplies from their website, an event to prevent price gouging. Now, of course, they did this to the Colvins, and he got pretty angry. And when the New York Times reached out to him with interest in the fact he had bought up all this stuff and was a huge seller of this stuff on Amazon and eBay, he thought he would talk to the New York Times and perhaps raise some awareness against the evils of Amazon and eBay for shutting that shit down. So he did the article, and it had just the opposite effect. It made him the pariah that he is. He actually claimed in the video he was doing a public service for people, that he was providing a supply of things to people in cities where there was no supply of it and people needed it. So he was actually fulfilling a service. I could buy that if he wasn't marking up the prices so much. Now let's talk about what I think is true capitalism versus just being an ass. If he had gone around, if he had had the foresight to go around before a holiday like Christmas and buy up all the PlayStation 5s, which are coming out later this year, possibly next year with all this mess, or if he had bought the Cabbage Patch Kid. I remember Cabbage Patch Kids. If he had bought something like that, a doll, a gaming system, even a athletic shoe that was going to be the next big thing, bought those and marked them up ridiculously, I would say more power to you. That's the power of being in a capitalist country, which I am highly in favor of. Because you know why? No one's dying from that. Yes, I wanted a Cabbage Patch Kid really badly as a kid, and people actually got in fights over these things. It was weird. My mother could not find one. She finally bought one off somebody, probably for way more than she should have.
Welcome to another holiday shopping season. When the doors opened at this Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania store, the pushing and shoving began. One woman was knocked to the floor and suffered a broken leg.
All right, but I wouldn't have died from not getting that Cabbage Patch Kid. Nobody's going to die from not getting the next pair of Nikes. No one's going to die from not getting the PlayStation 5 right away. They'll make more. You can buy them. No one's going to die from not getting the latest Funko Pop. But people want them, and people do make a living on the resale market. I have no problem with that. I would have not had any problem if he had bought all this stuff. I still think it was an asshole move. But if he had bought all of this stuff, if he really wanted to fulfill a need in the cities, because he said these small country towns that he stole the stuff from didn't really have the demand for it, and I can see that. We do our shopping at small stores or larger stores located in a rural area, and there's never really a shortage. We went just the other day and stocked up. Nothing was really out of stock because it was in a smaller town, Walmart in a smaller town. So I could buy what he was saying if he was only doing a modest markup. If he had taken those $1 bottles of Purell, even the larger ones that he probably bought for $5, or if he had simply charged $2.50, $3 for those, plus shipping, and made enough to pay for everything, plus his gas driving around to get them, he would have still made some profit into the thousands on that. I could have seen that maybe he was just trying to fulfill a need. If he had done a modest markup, if I had bought a bunch of that stuff, I'd probably give it away as it's going right now. But if I was inclined to sell it, I would probably double it. $1 becomes $2. I'd ask the customer to pay for their own shipping, and then I might have made some money for my trouble. I don't think that would have been price gouging. If he had done that, we wouldn't even be here talking about it today. But he didn't. He did ridiculous markup, which was in violation of so many anti-price gouging laws that a lot of them, especially the one in Tennessee, went into effect from a gas shortage that was an artificial shortage that was created in about 2007-ish because of a hurricane that damaged a pipeline coming from Houston. There was supposedly a shortage of gas, but what happened? You had a run on gas stations. People were going there and filling up 5 vehicles and 16 gas containers. We kind of do this to ourselves sometimes. And Nashville, the Nashville metro area, had a gas shortage for a few days. So you did have some stations that were marking that stuff up to $5, $6, $7 a gallon. So Tennessee enacted anti-price gouging laws to prevent that stuff from happening. It also applies here. During the New York Times interview, when he was talking about how he was trying to fulfill a need, he talked about how he didn't feel it was a violation of this law because he said this law has not evolved to handle the new digital economy. Maybe it hasn't, but I still think what you're doing was blatant price gouging. And he didn't come off as sympathetic as he had wanted. In fact, the New York Times reporter actually asked him, "Are you sorry?" And it took him way too long to come up with his answer. So obviously, no, he's not sorry.
Sorry for sorry for buying all of this product. No, I don't think that I would.
With all the backlash and bad press he got, and the fact that he couldn't sell that stuff without fear for his life, he could no longer sell it online because Facebook Marketplace, eBay, Amazon, all those places shut that down. You can't buy hand sanitizer or that stuff there as far as I know. And he was also couldn't sell it in person because he did this New York Times article that made people very angry. And then just the other day, on the 14th, the state's attorney of Tennessee announced they were investigating him for possible violations of the anti-gouging laws, and that prompted him to now actually donate all the stuff he hoarded to a local charity to be distributed to people that need it. And that's the story of the Colvin brothers of Tennessee. Please don't send them any hate. It's pretty easy to find their names, but please don't send them any hate. Don't go out there and do any evil doxing stuff. Their name's already out there, so I'm not saying anything that isn't already known, but don't make an attempt to contact these guys. They're going to suffer for years to come because of what they did. But I just wanted to make you aware that there are people out there that will try to profit off of disasters. So don't let these people get you. Don't be one of these people. Capitalism is great. However, don't be an ass about it. All right, guys. that's all for today. I'll be back soon with another video. Coming up Friday, we've got the McDonald's Monopoly scam. Yeah, that's a good one. We're going to do that. And then, starting the weekend, we're going back into a 2-part murder case. So, thanks so much. If you want to support the channel, links are below. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Keto Comic. Out.